There's munching in the song. Munching. Munch, munch, munch. There was a munch track. That was a highlight of that recording session. The Pine Bark Beetle issue was part of the East Texas Wilderness Campaign led by Ned Fritz of Dallas, Texas Committee on Natural Resources. And the preserving the wilderness, the literally relatively small wilderness islands in the East Texas wilderness was the goal of this campaign, to get those protected and get more wilderness out of the much larger national forest, which is multi-use, which mostly means clear cutting at the time. And so the pine bark beetle was an infestation that came through and devastated a lot of trees. And the devastation, it killed them, killed them. However, it was more complicated naturally and politically and actually in that the way they were taking the pine bark beetle out of the wilderness area was making it worse and was not letting nature take its own course. I am not a professional biologist, but I play one on TV. No, I play one on guitar. And I hung out in the late 70s and 80s, into the 90s, with biologists as much as I did songwriters and musicians. Girlfriend was on the biology department at ACC, and I was taking courses there and writing songs in the margins. And this was a late 80s issue. And I was getting my resource from these folks working on the issue that pine bark beetle was tough on trees, but it was actually thinning the weaker trees and making the forest stronger, thinning it out, and stronger trees were evolving or surviving. Well, the ones that survived evolved. So that was the science, and I just started making little expressions about it all and put them together and started seeing which rhymed and which felt good to play. It's a very simple melody, as all of mine are. And the arrangement's very simple. I have worked with very talented artists on most of these songs. Bob Livingston, Paul Pearcy, John Inman, the Lost Gonzos, the last incarnation of the Lost Gonzos. And worked together with them in studio for 15, 20 years, even more. And so these are simple songs that these guys could learn fast. And they bring the arrangement, pretty much. The arrangement's very straightforward, folk, singer-songwriter, light country western, you know. And they just made a tight little arrangement, played it, and we added the munch at the end. That was it. A short munch, actually. But the thing is, they would cut these trees down as a ruse. Forest Service is actually going along with it, and they would take the trees and sell them, and they would haul them down the logging roads, spreading the beetles. They made a mess of it. Instead of letting them just die in place, they spread it around. Plus, there was money exchanged in the salvaging these areas, and lots of damage to get in and take them down. So these wilderness areas weren't that big. What, 20,000 acres out of a surrounding 100,000 acres chunk of national forest, of which there was 500,000 acres in East Texas. And we got a very small amount of relatively of wilderness protection. And this was an excuse to harvest more of it, condemn it. That's what we felt. That's what we felt. Right?